Hare Krishna. Let's start with the Mangala Charan and then we shall continue with our session on Goloka Chart.
ज्ञानाञ्जनघण्टस्य
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया
ज्ञानशलाकया
चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपं तदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीवैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं
शतं सजीवम्
साद्वैतं सवादूतं परिजनसहितं
कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम्
राधा कृष्ण श्रीविशाखावितं हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता
नमोस्तुते
काञ्चा गौराङ्गी
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
विश्वानुसुते देवी
हरिप्रिये
वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
सिन्धुभ्येव च
नाम पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
नमो
ॐ
नमः
विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले
भूतले श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी
श्रीपतिपातारिणे
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
प्रभु नित्यानंद
श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone in today's session of Goloka Chart. आप सभी का स्वागत है गोलोका चार्ट के सेशन में जिसमें हम इंग्लिश हिंदी दोनों में कोशिश करेंगे. So far what we have already covered, Goloka chart, we have material world, we have spiritual world, we have Devi Dham, Mahesh Dham, Brahm Jyoti, Vaikuntha, also called Hari Dham, Ayodhya, Lord Ram's place, and then Goloka, Krishna's abode. तो अभी तक जो हम गोलोका चार्ट में देख चुके हैं, भौतिक संसार है, आध्यात्मिक संसार है, और इसके अंदर देवी धाम जो हमारा भौतिक है, फिर शिवलोक, महेश धाम, उसके ऊपर हम जाते हैं तो ब्रह्मन ज्योति मिलती है हमें, फिर हरिधाम, फिर सीता जी, राम जी, हनुमान जी के अयोध्या नगरी, फिर उसके ऊपर गोलोक. We have seen 3/3 and 1/4. 3/3. 3/4 and 1/4. 3/4 is spiritual, 1/4 is material. तो हमने देखा कि 1/4 भाग जो है वो हमारा भौतिक संसार है, बाकी सब अध्यात्म है. All this is based on the scriptures and there are many scriptures there. Some of them we read on a regular basis, some are Vedic, some are Vaishnavas, some are Gauryas. But all those scriptures are there. Based on all these scriptures, the Goloka chart has been put together. ये बहुत सारे अलग अलग वैदिक, फिर अपने वैष्णव्स, उसके बाद गौड़िया शास्त्र हैं जिनसे हमने रेफरेंस लेके ये गोलोका चार्ट बनाया है. We have already seen a lot of these references, and that's the reason I'm going very fast. This is the part where Brahma Samhita starts. Brahma Samhita is that scripture where Brahma ji does the stuti, the prayers of Lord Krishna. तो बहुत सारे स्क्रिप्चर में से एक ब्रह्म संहिता है जिसके अंदर बिल्कुल डायरेक्ट खुद ब्रह्मा जी जो जीवात्माओं में सबसे ऊपर हैं उन्होंने भगवान कृष्ण की स्तुति की है और उसके अंदर उन्होंने कहा ईश्वर परम कृष्ण. So how many demigods we have, and people talk about, or the many different religions talk about gods, but the supreme personality of God is Krishna. Satya Chit Ananda Vigraha. So the Vigraha is there, and Vigraha is the personality is there. It's not the impersonal, it's the personal Vigraha. And then it's Satya Chit Ananda. And this is a lot of different sects, they understand with a different understanding, but this is what we call pure enlightenment for some Sat Chit Ananda. This is the eternal conscious bliss. Almost everyone with a pure consciousness, or sometimes even impure consciousness, looking for it. Temporary happiness or permanent pure consciousness. So this verse we can see where all of those places, abodes are mentioned. So all those references are there. We have seen the rasas, in the middle Krishna is there. We have seen the differences between Goloka and Gokula, and we use these words interchangeably. So it won't affect us much for our discussion, but where we are right now. So far, like in last 4 minutes, I briefly recapped whatever we have been doing so much. तो अभी तक हमने पिछली 6 क्लासों में गोलोका चार्ट में जो भी किया वो मैंने पिछले 5 मिनट के अंदर रिकैप किया, तो बहुत जल्दी गए, लेकिन उसको हम दोबारा बार बार डिस्कस करेंगे. लेकिन जो हम आगे देखेंगे वो है चतुर्व्यूह. So now what we're going to discuss, and this is what briefly we touched base on in the last session, and that's where we are continuing from this. Chaturvyu. Chatur is 4. View is view, the way it goes. It could be the view, the way we see things. And view is also, so in Mahabharata, might have heard of many different, yes. So this is where Chaturvyu comes in. So Krishna has always been there. Krishna was there. From Krishna, the whole spiritual material, anything we can think of, everything expanded from Krishna, originated from Krishna. And this is what the scripture says. But then the question is, what could be that very first thing which came out of Krishna? Now, many things came out from, now you might think, oh, well, how is that possible? Well, of course, this is spiritual world we are talking about. But never mind spiritual world, even in material world, Brahma is a Jivatma, like a living entity like you and me. Even from Brahmas, the mention is that from the nose and just the mental thought, from the ear, from the thumb, different, like Rudra come out. Sometimes depends on which galaxies, which universe we are in, from the Brahma. So not our Brahma, from a different Brahma. Shivji also comes out from Brahma sometimes. But even though Shivji is not a living entity, but the medium could be Brahma. And it has, for example, Rudra, they are also planetary expansion of Shiva, but they also come out from Brahma, because Brahma is the second originator, but the first living entity. तो हमने देखा कि भगवान कृष्ण है, भगवान कृष्ण से ही सब उत्पत्ति होती है जो हमारे स्क्रिप्चर कहते हैं. लेकिन फिर एक प्रश्न ये आ सकता है कि वो पहली कौन सी चीज है या कौन है जो भगवान कृष्ण से निकलते हैं, और उसके बाद फिर कैसे पूरी सृष्टि का निर्माण होना शुरू होता है. तो वो यहाँ पे गोलोका चार्ट में हम बताते हैं चतुर्व्यूह, कि ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई एक निकले. कई बार मेंशन होता है कि भगवान कृष्ण से बलराम जी निकले, पर बलराम जी एंड कृष्ण बहुत ही सिमिलर हैं, और हम कहते हैं कि जो शास्त्र कहते हैं उनमें दोनों में एक ही फर्क है, डिफरेंस इन कलर बिटवीन कृष्ण एंड बलराम, अदरवाइज देयर इज हार्डली एनी डिफरेंस. So Krishna and Balram, whether we say Krishna or whether we say Balram, Krishna is Krishna, and any unmanifested potency of Krishna is Balram. So Krishna Krishna है, पर कृष्ण की जो शक्तियां हैं वो बलराम जी से मैनिफेस्ट होती हैं, अनुभावित होती हैं. तो इसमें जब हम आगे जाते हैं तब फिर हम कृष्ण से कहें या बलराम जी से कहें, क्योंकि अब कृष्ण कुछ नहीं कर रहे, कृष्ण की शक्तियां कर रही हैं, और कृष्ण की शक्ति में सबसे पहले बलराम जी हैं. तो ये भी गलत नहीं होगा अगर हम कहें कि बलराम जी का एक्सपेंशन है, लेकिन कृष्ण से ही बलराम जी आए हैं और फिर बलराम जी से आगे सारी एक्सपेंशंस हो रही हैं. तो सबसे पहले जो एक्सपेंशंस होती हैं वो 4 हैं, चतुर्व्यूह. एंड इफ वी सी द स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड, आध्यात्मिक जगत अगर हम देखें तो उसके अंदर 4 डिफरेंट मार्ग हैं. तो उन चारों मार्गों में कौन से मार्ग पे कौन सा एक्सपेंशन होता है उसका वर्णन है, और ये बहुत ही स्पष्ट है. और जैसे हम बात कर रहे थे कि अगर हम पुराने जो हजारों साल पहले मंदिर बने हैं, स्पेशली जो साउथ इंडिया में भी हैं, नॉर्थ इंडिया में इतने नहीं बचे क्योंकि नॉर्थ इंडिया में काफी इन्वेडर्स आए थे, काफी नुकसान हुआ, मंदिर तोड़े गए थे, लेकिन साउथ इंडिया में अभी भी बहुत पुराने मंदिर हैं. उसके अंदर अगर भी आप जाएं, जगन्नाथपुरी में अगर आप जाएं तो वहां पे आपको ऐसे ही मिलेंगे, अलग अलग द्वार के ऊपर अलग अलग भगवान कृष्ण के जो चतुर्व्यूह हम देखेंगे वो उनकी स्थापना होंगी, उनकी मूर्तियां होंगी, और हम पिक्चर में देखेंगे उनकी मूर्तियों में क्या डिफरेंस है. So we could see the old, very traditional temples in South India. They still have this setup as per the Vedic culture, and we will see who is established where. So if Krishna is in the middle, if the temple is there, then in the north direction we will have Anirudh, and then in the east we have Vasudev. Then on the south we have Sankarshan, and in the west we have Pradyumna. So these, you will notice if you will go the traditional temple, you will notice all that, and later we will see the picture of them as well. तो हम जिस तरीके से यहाँ देख सकते हैं स्क्रीनशॉट के अंदर कि कहाँ पे कौन से भगवान कृष्ण के हम अवतार कह सकते हैं, लेकिन प्लैनेटरी एक्सपेंशन कहते हैं, उनका विस्तार हुआ है, वो भगवान कृष्ण से ही निकले हैं. अब हम देखें इन चारों में क्या फर्क है. ये चारों ऐसे हैं कि जिनको भगवान ने रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज दी हैं कुछ करने के लिए. सो ईच वन ऑफ देम दे आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर समथिंग, एंड दिस इज व्हाट वी गोना सी. सो फॉर अस टू अंडरस्टैंड Lord Krishna, the cause of all the causes, as Brahma Samhita says and many other scriptures says, then Balram ji, which is the potency, the energy. So Krishna is not doing anything himself. Krishna just thought about it, and things are happening because of his energies. Then the first 4 chaturvyus. So there are 2 chaturvyus, first and second. तो भगवान कृष्ण से सबसे पहले बलराम जी, फिर बलराम जी से आगे चतुर्व्यूह है, लेकिन चतुर्व्यूह भी 2 हैं. 2 बार भगवान के ये 4 जो व्यूज हैं, जो एक्सपेंशन है, जो विस्तार हैं, होते हैं. फर्स्ट टाइम Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Anirudh. And then from the Sankarshan, the first Sankarshan, Narayan comes out. And this is the Narayan we have heard of, Narayan, the one who is there in the water. And from Narayan, we get the second Chaturvyuh. And that's also Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Anirudh. There is a difference in all these 4. So the Vasudev in first and the Vasudev in second Chaturvyuh, there is a very slight difference. But for our discussion, we might not need to go. We will see the difference between each 4 of them. And we might very briefly touch base on it. But what happens after that? From Sankarshan, we get Mahavishnu. And this is Mahavishnu. If you would have remember, we will discuss this again when we will reach from spiritual sky to material world. In the transition, Mahavishnu comes, and that Mahavishnu comes from Sankarshan too. तो जैसे हम देख सकते हैं कृष्ण से बलराम, बलराम से पहले चतुर्व्यूह, फिर संकर्षण से नारायण, नारायण से दूसरे चक्रव्यूह. तो ये जो चतुर्व्यूह निकले, ये दूसरे संकर्षण से महाविष्णु आते हैं जो हमने देखे. ये महाविष्णु से गर्भोदक्षाय विष्णु, ये गर्भोदक्षाय विष्णु वो हैं जो हमारे अपने ब्रह्मांड के अंदर होते हैं। तो जब हमारे ब्रह्मा जी जाते हैं विष्णु भगवान से मिलने के लिए तो वो गर्भोदक्षाय विष्णु से जाते हैं, और फिर उसके बाद क्षीरोदक्षाय विष्णु हम उन्हें कहते हैं, जो कि परमात्मा के रूप में हर जीवात्मा के अंदर है। सिर्फ जीवात्मा ही नहीं, लिविंग नॉन लिविंग सबके अंदर है। So from Sankarshan 2 we get Mahavishnu, who is in the transition. From him we get the further expansion Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who is in our Brahman, in our universe, where from whom Brahmaji comes out, and Brahmaji could only approach to him on a normal circumstances. He could go to Mahavishnu and even to meet Krishna, but if somebody is along or if Krishna desires so, and there are very few, but there are examples like this. Hare Krishna. Yes, please, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, Karandakshay Vishnu, he is in the spiritual world, isn't it? And Garbhodakshay is in each material manifested universes. Is it?
That's right. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is in the material world, in every bubble we will see. That's right.
Yeah.
But Mahavishnu is actually not in a spiritual world. He's in the transition. So
Okay.
from a spiritual world, the material world is about to come out, and in between there is a transition, and there is Mahavishnu. But Mahavishnu is also spiritual, but he's at the boundary of the spiritual world. And if
that's what I thought. Somebody else told me that I asked this question to somebody.
Yes.
And then I thought that he is little bit outside spiritual, in between. So thanks for explanation. Okay.
Again, we will when we will go down from spiritual to material, we will come across Mahavishnu again, and many references of Mahavishnus are given. But if technically we will ask in or out, Mahavishnu is out of spiritual world.
Yes.
So this is where we understand the first and the second. तो माता जी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा कि गर्भोदक्षाय विष्णु तो आध्यात्मिक जगत में नहीं है, भौतिक जगत में है, ब्रह्मांड हमारे अपने ब्रह्मांड में है, लेकिन महाविष्णु क्या आध्यात्मिक जगत में है या भौतिक जगत में है? तो कर्णोदक्षाय विष्णु जो है, जिन्हें महाविष्णु भी कहते हैं, वो बीच में है, जहां से आध्यात्मिक जगत खत्म हो जाता है और भौतिक जगत शुरू होने वाला होता है, वो वहां पर है। तो उनके बारे में हम देखेंगे गोलोका चार्ट में, जब हम आध्यात्मिक से भौतिक जगत की तरफ चलेंगे। So this is our Karnodaksha Vishnu, and each bubble is where our Garbhodaksha Vishnu is. तो हम देख सकते हैं कर्णोदक्षाय विष्णु कहते हैं क्योंकि ये महाविष्णु है। ये जो रिवर है, जो नदी है, वो कारण हम इंग्लिश में कहते हैं कॉजुअल रिवर, तो उसको हम कर्णोदक्ष, इस वजह से दक्षाय जो वहां पर हैं, गर्भोदक्षाय जिन्होंने गर्भ से दिया ब्रह्मा जी को जन्म, तो इस वजह से इस तरीके से हम नाम याद कर सकते हैं। Now if we go further, so this is the Goloka seminar series for the very first Chaturvyu, and this is what we will see now. So what is Chaturvyu? Is the expansion of the Lord having 4 arms and God 4 directions. So Krishna is there, and now remember this, Krishna has got 2 arms, but Vishnu got 4 arms, and there's a mention in Canto 10 in Bhagavatam, where the gopis, they were playing around with Krishna, and Krishna disappeared. And Krishna disappeared, and Krishna appeared back in the form of Vishnu. And everybody thought, wow, having the darshan of Vishnu, which Dhruv Maharaj had it, little Dhruv, 5 years old, he had it. Then he was enlightened at that time. He had the darshan, he could not say anything. But when gopis had the darshan of Vishnu, they did not get bewildered. In fact, they asked Vishnu that, could you please let us know where is Krishna? Because for them, that Krishna was much closer. And that's the difference between Vishnu and Krishna. And this is the difference between office and home. So at home, we have that intimacy. We are closer to our family members. In office also, we can take care of our friends and the colleagues. But again, the intimacy is not that high compared to the home. Again, then we have the family friends. And this is where the concept of this Chaturvyu comes around. तो भागवतम कैंटो 10 के अंदर ऐसा वर्णन आता है कि जो गोपीज के साथ में जब कृष्ण भगवान खेल रहे होते हैं और गोपियों को बहुत प्राउड होता है, इस वजह से कृष्णा डिसअपियर हो जाते हैं, लेकिन वापस अपीयर होते हैं, लेकिन विष्णु भगवान के रूप में अपीयर होते हैं इस बार। तो गोपियां उनको देखती हैं लेकिन उनसे बहुत प्रभावित नहीं होती। वो उनसे ये पूछती हैं कि आपने कृष्णा को देखा है कि कृष्णा कहाँ है। एंड तो उसके बाद फिर इससे ये हमें पता लगता है कि गोपियां जो थी वो विष्णु के उस रूप से अटैच नहीं थी, वो कृष्णा से अटैच थी। उनका जो प्रेम था वो कृष्णा के लिए था। इसलिए हम कहते हैं कृष्ण प्रेम है, जो कि पूरे भक्ति का सार है कि कृष्ण प्रेम होना चाहिए। और फिर जब हम एक लेवल पे पहुंचेंगे तो वो कृष्ण प्रेम हमें हर जगह मिलेगा, हर जगह दिखेगा और हर इंसान से दिखेगा। क्योंकि भगवान ये कहते हैं कि सिर्फ मुझसे ही नहीं, मेरे डिवोटीज से भी आप प्यार करें। So this is the way we could understand. But there is another, just a continuation of that story. When again, this is there in Canto 10 at the end, that when gopis come around, they go, and then Vishnu actually said that, well, yeah, I saw Krishna was there in that direction. So gopis just ran in that direction where Vishnu said. But then Radhaji was there. Radhaji also came. And then Radhaji saw Vishnu. Vishnu saw Radhaji. And then the description is, and Acharyas, they also explain that because Vishnu has 4 arms, Krishna has 2 arms. So when Radhaji came along and Krishna saw Radhaji, because Radhaji is a pure devotee. Now we should not understand this as a male or female. Radhaji is a pure devotee, and that's the reason Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji came down. When Vishnu saw Radhaji and Radhaji saw Vishnu, then Radhaji could figure out that this is Krishna playing around with us. Then it explains that the 2 arms, so Vishnu had 4 arms, the 2 arms of Vishnu melted and Vishnu transformed himself back into Krishna. And this is what Krishna says, that I am in control of my pure devotees. And Radhaji is, of course, the topmost, but there are many more examples in the Shastras where, again, Dhruv Maharaj, and when the Narsimha Dev came down, then Prahlad Maharaj was there. Nobody, even Lakshmi Ji could not go there closer to Narsimha Dev. Brahma Ji, Shiv Ji, Indra, everyone was there. And everybody just keep nudging to each other. Go, you go. Narsimha Dev is very angry. But Hiranyakashipu is gone now. Please pacify him. Nobody could go. But then Brahma Ji said to Prahlad Maharaj that he came for you. If you will go, he will be okay. Go, please pacify. Then he, 5 years old child, did not feel any fear from Narsimha Dev. I mean, think about, we talk about Lord Brahma, we talk about Lord Shiva, we talk about Indra and all the demigods, we ask so many things. But when that little boy, because that little boy Prahlad, he was a pure devotee. When he approached Narsimha Dev, who was furious, the description is so furious. If we read in Bhagavatam, then the goosebumps will come out. But when he saw Prahlad coming around, and he did not fear from Narsimha Dev, and Narsimha Dev, when he saw, because he came in the form of lion, half man. So it says he started licking Prahlad Maharaj. Now why? Because that's how the lions, tigers, they show the love towards their cubs, their children. And that's what Narsimha Dev, he did with Prahlad Maharaj. So there are many more examples where we can see the Lord, whichever form the Lord was in, and whichever form and the shape and the size the pure devotee was, then when they both came together, then the Lord says that I become the servant of my devotees. And of course, devotees, they don't want them. Devotees would never say, so Radhaji will never say to Krishna that become my devotee. But that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji did. Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji said, I want to feel. I want to feel what do you feel for me. That's what Radhaji Radhaji felt so much for Krishna. And again, there is another pastime behind it. But when Krishna said, I can't understand, why do you feel what you feel for me? Radhaji said, I can't express. I cannot express. He said, how can I understand that? Radhaji said, well, the only way to understand is you take the form of your own devotee, then you might able to get it. And then Krishna came down as Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrta is there. Beautiful scripture written by Krishna Kaviraj Goswami ji. So, जिस इस तरीके से हम समझ सकते हैं कि जब राधा जी बाद में आई तो जो विष्णु भगवान के जो 4 आर्म्स थी उसमें से 2 मेल्ट हो गई और कृष्णा का अपना स्वरूप सामने आया, क्योंकि कृष्णा अपने प्योर डिवोटी राधा जी को देखकर वो और ज्यादा हंसी मजाक नहीं कर पाए और उनको अपना खुद का रूप लेना पड़ा। और इसी तरीके से हम बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल देख सकते हैं जो ग्रंथों में होते हैं, जहाँ पे जब प्योर डिवोटी भगवान के प्योर भक्त जो होते हैं वो जब भगवान के सामने आते हैं, तो हमने प्रहलाद महाराज का एग्जाम्पल डिस्कस किया। जब प्रहलाद महाराज वहां पर थे तो शिवा ब्रह्मा कोई उनके पास में नहीं जा पाया है, लेकिन जब प्रहलाद महाराज जो कि 5 साल के थे उनको आगे भेजा गया तो उनको देख के नरसिंह देव का क्रोध शांत हुआ। और क्योंकि वो एक शेर के रूप में आए थे, आधे शेर थे आधे सिंह थे, वो आधे मानव थे, तो उन्होंने अपने अपने जीभ से उनको प्रहलाद महाराज को चाटना शुरू किया। और क्योंकि इसी तरीके से जो सिंह होते हैं वो अपने बच्चों के लिए अपना स्नेह अपना प्यार जाहिर करते हैं। तो इस तरीके से हम समझ सकते हैं प्योर डिवोटीज का। अभी लेट्स टेक अ क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम अजय काले जी, what are the ways to become pure devotees? Hari Bol. Very nice. And this is the success, Ajay ji, what you have in your heart. It says Prahlad Maharaj ji actually gave the 9 forms of pure devotion. He says Nav Bhakti. It says 9 forms. The very first step is hearing, which you and me doing at the moment. So I'm also hearing what I'm saying and we are discussing. You're giving me the opportunity to say about Krishna. This is the very first form. More we hear. And I can tell you about myself. I had a class in the morning. So far, I have attended 2 classes. So 3 or 4 hours of session I have already done. And it never stops. Doesn't matter how much you hear. So the very first step is to hear. Then it says the next one is the kirtan, or when we come along with the other devotees, like what we are doing now. Right? We can also listen on YouTube. On YouTube, we will not be able to ask questions. And that's what I feel as well. So the very first is hear. When we hear, we hear what Shastra says. We hear what Acharya says. And then we try to implement them in our life. So how do we implement? So this is a very big question, how to become pure devotee, because pure devotee is the ultimate realization we can have. Like how far we could go in material world, pure devotee. We can become pure devotee. We cannot go beyond that. There's nothing else we can achieve more than that. How that can happen? That can happen in many different ways. But the very first thing is hearing. And the second thing is an association. What will happen? Now, I can give you 3 things. You can do this, you can go to temple, you can eat prashadam, you can do the kirtans. Let's do these 3 things, you will become pure devotees. You may say, well, I've seen many doing it. Like in India, more than 1 billion people doing it for many years. I don't think they have become pure devotee, because how do you realize you have become pure devotee? A pure devotee is a very big stage, but whether you have taken, or I have taken, or anybody has taken one small step towards that, one small step. How do we know? Our consciousness will purify. What does that mean? That means Bhagavad Gita chapter 16 is there. Bhagavad Gita chapter 17 and Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 is there. Chapter 16 lists out the 26 qualities we will start developing those qualities gradually, slowly, day by day, but we will see the difference. We will see the difference. That's how we realize that yes, something is happening. And if something is happening, maybe we can gradually approach to it. So it's a very, very big, vast thing. But then there is a scripture I will share with you. It's called Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion is where 64 qualities, and you can say steps, they have been described by Rupa Goswamiji. Rupa Goswamiji was one of the main Vaishnav acharyas of Vrindavan. So he was the one who were him and his brother Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, and they were very. He was a minister, prime minister at that time, not prime minister of India. Before India was formed, before when the Arabs were there, then he was the prime minister of that area. Where if you think there was a Chand Kazi, if it's again it's there in the scriptures, the way it mentions. So both of them, they were very literate and very educated, very diplomatic, and they knew what they were doing. And they had so much opulence, so much money, if you think, because they needed to have it. So Rupa Goswamiji is there. If you like to read it, and I can share the link as well. And let me just share right now, because it's okay. I've just shared the link. It's in English. Rupa Goswamiji's Nectar of Devotion. It says the complete science of Bhakti Yoga. And in Hindi or in Sanskrit, it says Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was there. And Srila Prabhupada translated it into English. And this gives us a lot of things. But what I will say, for us, where we are, two things we'll do in steps. The very first thing is to hear. Second thing is to be in association. These two things will take us to the next level. So we listen, we hear, and then we come in. So we can, as I said, we can hear on YouTube all the time, but then the association is missing. For association, we need to connect to the live. And obviously when we can open, then like at our place, so we used to invite once in a week, everyone, we used to have Bhakti Vriksha. Hopefully once we will open, we will do that again. And that's very important. That's very important to meet devotees. So when all the devotees used to come to our place, when you meet 10, 20 devotees under one roof at the same time, then the exchange we have, it's beautiful. And then you will really realize that what is material and what is spiritual, because the topics are that. You're not going to discuss the political topics there. You're not going to discuss cricket there. You could, if you want, you could. It's not that if you're a devotee, you cannot watch cricket. Of course, you can enjoy, because you will see Krishna everywhere. And cricket, politics will not be excluded. But what we understand is that the pure nectar for the devotees is to hear about Krishna. And that's where we say, oh, right, okay, we want to hear that. We want to listen that. Yes, and that's where it is. So thank you so much, Ajay ji, for that question. तो अजय जी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा एक कि हम किस तरीके से प्योर डिवोटी बन सकते हैं, क्योंकि हमने प्योर डिवोटी की बात करी. तो प्योर डिवोटी के लिए हम दो मेन चीजें कहते हैं कि हमको सबसे पहले प्रहलाद महाराज जी ने भागवतम के अंदर ये दिया 9 ऐसे स्टेप्स हैं या फॉर्म्स हैं जो कि भक्ति के लिए बहुत ही उचित है, जिसमें से सबसे पहला है कि हमें सुनना चाहिए भगवान के बारे में. सबसे पहला और इजी स्टेप है, सुनना चाहिए. उसके बाद हमें कैसे सुनना चाहिए, हमें संग में रह के सुनना चाहिए, भक्तों के संग में सुनना चाहिए हमें. इसलिए हम YouTube पे होते हैं तो हम एक तरफ का सुन पाते हैं, लेकिन कोई क्वेश्चन मन में आए तो हम नहीं पूछ पाते. तो इसलिए हमें सुनना चाहिए, लेकिन भक्तों के साथ में सुनना चाहिए. तो एक दूसरे से क्वेश्चन पूछने चाहिए, डिस्कशन करनी चाहिए. हमारे वेदों में, पुराणों में, उपनिषदों में कहीं पे भी आप देखें तो डायलॉग है, वन वे नहीं है. भगवत गीता को भी देखें तो उसके अंदर भी डायलॉग है. भगवान कृष्ण से अर्जुन क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, कृष्ण अर्जुन से, अर्जुन कृष्ण से. बहुत जगह ऐसा होता है कि एट द एंड कृष्ण पूछते हैं अर्जुन से क्वेश्चन कि सब समझ में आ गया या मैं और कहूं। ऐसे मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम अर्जुन क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं कृष्णा से, बीच बीच में कृष्णा उनसे क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं। ऐसे ही सुखदेव गोस्वामी जी परीक्षित महाराज भागवतम के अंदर क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं। तो प्रहलाद महाराज जी, सॉरी प्रहलाद महाराज जी का हमने एग्जाम्पल दिया क्योंकि उन्होंने भक्ति दी, लेकिन परीक्षित महाराज जो हैं, परीक्षित महाराज भागवतम के अंदर क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं तो सुखदेव गोस्वामी जी उसका जवाब देते हैं, लेकिन फिर बीच में सुखदेव गोस्वामी जी भी उनसे क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, जिससे ये पता लगता है कि भाई क्या आप सुन रहे हैं या नहीं सुन रहे। तो इस तरीके से ये सारा वार्तालाप ही है, तो हमें बिल्कुल क्वेश्चन पूछने चाहिए। तो जो अजय जी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा बहुत ही अच्छा है, और ये सब सुनने के बाद में इससे पता लगता है कि हम सुन रहे हैं, इससे पता लगता है कि हम हमारे ऊपर फर्क पड़ रहा है सुनने का, हमें समझ में आ रहा है कि क्या बात कही जा रही है। कहते हैं कि मन के अंदर चैत्य गुरु होते हैं, परम आत्मा परमात्मा चैत्य गुरु, कहते हैं ना कि ये हमारी गट फीलिंग है। वो गट फीलिंग क्या होती है, भगवान सबके अंदर है, वो हम उनको थोड़ा सा कहते हैं, वो हमारी सुनने को हमेशा तैयार होते हैं। वहां पे हम ये कह रहे हैं कि हमने ये लिंक शेयर किया है नेक्टर ऑफ डिवोशन का। अगर हम गूगल में चेक करें, 6 गोस्वामी जो हैं वृंदावन के, जिन्होंने वृंदावन बसाया है, वृंदावन के जो बड़े बड़े मंदिर अगर आप देखेंगे तो वो इन्होंने ही, राधा दामोदर जिसके अंदर श्रील प्रभुपाद जी रहे थे काफी साल, वो भी रूप गोस्वामी जी ने बसाया है। ऐसे ही राधा रमन है, वो भी उनके ब्रदर हैं, उन्होंने किया है। और उनके जीव गोस्वामी जी कजन हैं, उन्होंने बहुत सारे स्क्रिप्चर्स लिखे हैं। तो ये गोस्वामी जी हैं, इन्होंने नेक्टर ऑफ डिवोशन भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु नाम का एक ग्रंथ लिखा है, उसके अंदर भक्ति के बारे में बहुत कुछ डिटेल्स में लिखी हैं जो हम और देख सकते हैं। तो हम उसको भी कभी डिस्कस करेंगे अगर कृष्णा ने अलाउ किया तो।
Yes.
Thank you so much. So coming back to the Chatur view, the 4 expansion. So now Krishna is there in the middle of spiritual world in Goloka. And then in 4 directions, as we discussed, in 4 directions, we have all these 4. Vasudev, and I think there is a slide there where we will see the difference in the statue, in the deity form. When you will see, if you could remember, sometimes it's very hard to remember, but one thing we can notice, for example, on the right hand side, if we see, it's a different thing in the right hand side, and we will see in detail as well. But that's how we can see the difference. Now, let's understand the energy of Krishna a bit better. So Krishna is a person, but now what the energy of Krishnas are, how the system is flowing. Expansion of Lord having 4 aims, 4 arms, and 4 guard 4 directions, like what we have seen, and we will see it again. And we will see in detail each of them. Okay, this is part of, if you have the Goloka chart, you will see what this is, Vilasa. Vilasa is pastime. And then Tad Ekadam category. We will see what these words mean. We will come back to them because there's a whole chart explaining them in detail. But what it says that Krishna's potency. When we say potency, what does that mean? Potency could be the energy. Potency is like we can say, do you have the potency to do that? Like, do you have the energy to do that? In a very rough layman language. तो हम इस तरीके से समझेंगे इसको कि भगवान की 3 जो हम कहते हैं शक्तियां हैं, वो कौन कौन सी है। भगवान की 3 शक्तियां जो सब कुछ आगे बनाती हैं. So the first one, will power. Will power means Krishna has thought about it and thing happened. And then the power of knowledge. It says that Krishna has the knowledge of everything because everything emanates from him. So the verse, a beautiful verse. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. This is NOI, nectar of instruction, invocation. And when we, by Krishna's mercy and elders' blessings, when we bought the house here a couple of years back in South London, then we invited one of the priests to do the Havan. When he did the Havan, at the end, when we offered in the Yagya Kund, when we offered it, this was the mantra he was singing. Om Purnamada Purnamida Purnam Purnat Purnamas. What does that say? That verse says that Krishna, the Lord, the God, is the supreme, is complete. and everything which comes out of him is also complete. We are, what Krishna says, part and parcel of Krishna, right? 15.4 and then 15.14. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 14. So this is the very first thing, is the willpower of Krishna. Krishna thinks about it, it happens. The second, the knowledge of Krishna. The knowledge has the power of all the knowledge is there with Krishna. Then the creative energy. It's not that the Krishna has the willpower, Krishna has the knowledge. Krishna is very creative in doing these things, right? So if I have the willpower means I can do it. I can think and these things will happen. Right? Knowledge is that I know how to do it. But creativity is that, am I going to do the same thing again and again, or am I going to do a bit of creativity? Or whether I'm going to create things. Krishna uses all these three things. So Krishna has the power. तो कृष्णा के पास, कृष्णा ये तीन पावरों को यहाँ पे दिखाते हैं जो उनके अंदर शक्तियां हैं, और इनके हम और आगे डिविजन्स देखेंगे. लेकिन कृष्णा के अंदर विल पावर है कि कृष्णा कर सकते हैं. क्यों कर सकते हैं? क्योंकि कृष्णा के पास में नॉलेज है सारी की सारी करने के लिए. और कृष्णा उस नॉलेज को यूज करके, ऐसा नहीं है कि जैसे मार्केट में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में एक चीज को बार बार बनाते हैं. कृष्णा, इसलिए हम कहते हैं हर इंसान यूनिक है. इसलिए कृष्णा के जो सबसे पहले 4 एक्सपेंशन होंगे 4 दिशाओं में, वो चारों के चारों यूनिक है. क्यों? क्योंकि कृष्णा के पास में वो क्रिएटिव एनर्जी. तो हम उस क्रिएटिव एनर्जी की यहाँ पे बात कर रहे हैं. So let's continue. It says the willpower in Krishna himself is predominant, that Krishna doesn't need to do anything. It says Adi Purusha. Krishna is Adi. Adi is the original, the very first Purusha. The person is Krishna. तो बहुत जगह ऐसा आता है, स्पेशली ब्रह्म संहिता में, कृष्णा आदि पुरुष है. आदि का मतलब जो ओरिजिनल है, द वेरी फर्स्ट वन, जो सबसे पहले है, पुरुष, कि वो पुरुष है. पुरुष और प्रकृति के लिए भी हम कहते हैं. यहाँ सब मटेरियल में प्रकृति है, स्पिरिचुअल में सब पुरुष है, क्योंकि वो कृष्णा से निकले. फिर बलराम जी उनकी शक्तियों को मैनिफेस्ट करते हैं, आगे जाते हैं, उनसे ये सारे के सारे आगे बन रहे हैं. नाउ each of those we will see Vasudeva. Now again, how does that happen? If we see the arrows are there. Now this is again we are going into very detail. अब हम और थोड़ी बारीकी से अगर देखें तो सबसे पहले हमने कहा कृष्णा से ये चतुर्व्यूह होते हैं, फिर हमने कहा कृष्णा से बलराम, बलराम से चतुर्व्यूह होते हैं. लेकिन हम अगर और थोड़ा सा डिटेल में जाएं तो हम ये देख सकते हैं कि बलराम से सबसे पहले वसुदेव आए, वासुदेव से फिर उसके बाद में संकर्षण आए, संकर्षण से प्रद्युम्न, प्रद्युम्न से अनिरुद्ध आए. ये सबसे पहले जो भगवान के हैं. अभी भी पुरानी मंदिरों में हम ये मूर्तियां देख सकते हैं. मैंने ये नोटिस किया है, हम जगन्नाथपुरी जब गए थे तो वहां पे हमने नोटिस किया था. और सूर्य टेम्पल एक वहां पे कोणार्क में, आप वहां पे भी नोटिस कर सकते हैं, वहां पे बहुत बड़ा व्हील बना है. सो दीज deities, the statues are still in existence in the south, mostly in south temples, and they, each one of them are unique. And it says unlimited quadruple. So quadruple is 4, chatur. And now if we will continue with this, we will see. Now we said, again going a bit into detail, that we said Karnodaksh, Karnodakshai, this is Mahavishnu. Garbhodakshai, this is in the material world. And then Shirodakshai, which is super soul in every living entity and non-living entity. तो यहाँ पे अगर हम और थोड़ा सा डिटेल में जाएं, बारीकी में देखें, तो हमने जिस तरीके से देखा महाविष्णु, जिसे हम कार्णोदक्षाय भी कहते हैं, फिर गर्भोदक्षाय विष्णु होते हैं जिनसे ब्रह्मा जी निकले, और फिर क्षीरोदक्षाय विष्णु जो कि हम सबके अंदर परमात्मा के रूप में होते हैं. So each one of them, they come from a specific form of Krishna. So Karnodakshai comes out of Sankarshan. Garbhodakshai is the expansion of Pradyumna, and Shirodakshai comes from Aniruddha. Now, in simple terms, we always say that all of them, they are the expansion of Krishna, which is true. But if we will see in detail, from Krishna, Balram, from Balram, they all 4, and from one of them come. तो हम इसको इस तरीके से समझ सकते हैं कि हमने देखा कि कार्णोदक्षाय, गर्भोदक्षाय, शिरोदक्षाय, ये तीनों विष्णु जो हैं, ये तीनों ही विष्णु भगवान कृष्ण से आते हैं. लेकिन अगर जो कि सही भी है, लेकिन अगर हम डिटेल में देखें तो कृष्ण से बलराम एंड फिर बलराम से ये चारों आते हैं, इन चारों में से किसी एक से ये एक आते हैं। जैसे संकर्षण से कर्णोदक्षा, प्रद्युम्न से गर्भोदक्षा, अनिरुद्ध से क्षीरोदक्षा। अब हम ये सोचेंगे कि इसमें क्या फर्क है। फर्क ये है कि संकर्षण जो करते हैं वो प्रद्युम्न नहीं करते। कुछ ओवरलैप होता है, लेकिन दोनों की क्वालिटीज अलग है, दोनों की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज अलग है। और इतना ही नहीं, इतना भी मेंशन है कि क्योंकि भगवान जहां पर हैं, the details are even finer, where it says where Krishna is in the middle of spiritual world or in the Goloka Vrindavan, and each one of them is, they are at the different door. They are like a doorkeepers there, each one of them. Now, who we will see the difference in each of them. Now, if somebody would like to go and meet Krishna, based on their interest, they will decide which gate they would like to go into Goloka Vrindavan. तो अगर हम और थोड़ा डिटेल में जाएं तो इस चीज का भी मेंशन है कि क्योंकि ये चारों अलग अलग द्वारपाल हैं भगवान के, द्वारपाल द्वारपाल के पास में है, ऐसा कह सकते हैं। तो इन चारों की अपनी क्वालिटीज हैं, अपने फीचर्स हैं, अपनी रोल्स एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज हैं। तो जब भक्त कृष्णा से मिलने आते हैं तो वो भक्त का क्या भाव होता है, क्या क्वालिटीज होती हैं, क्या फीचर्स होते हैं, उनके फीचर्स, उनके क्वालिटीज के अकॉर्डिंगली वो डिसाइड करते हैं कि उनको कौन से द्वार से अंदर जाना है। कि वो पहले संकर्षण जी को देखना चाहते हैं या प्रद्युम्न को देखना चाहते हैं, फिर उस द्वार पे वो इनको ये मिलेंगे और फिर वो आगे अंदर कृष्णा के पास जाएंगे। तो ऐसा भी मेंशन है। So if we continue, then it says, okay, we will see this as well, Guna Avatar. Now again, the details will come. Guna Avatar, we say the Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, they are considered as Guna Avatar. Why? Because they work in different gunas. Gunas are what we call material mode of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So Brahmaji is the secondary creator. So Brahmaji needs to create, so he is full of passion. And Shivji, he needs to control the destruction. He doesn't do the destruction, he controls the destruction. There is a big difference, right? So he controls ignorance, mode of ignorance. And then we have Vishnu, who maintains, and to maintain you need to be stable all the time. So Vishnu is, which is Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he is in mode of goodness. So goodness, Vishnu, Brahmaji, passion, Shivji, ignorance. All three, again, Shivji is not in ignorance. Shivji is not in mode of ignorance. He controls those who are in, like Bhut, Pishach. He controls those who are in mode of ignorance. Or he takes care of the destruction as and when it's required. But all these three guna avatars, they come out of Pradyumna. So Pradyumna is the source of all of them. Right? And then we will later see Leela avatar. Now, what is Leela avatar? Leela avatars, again, they are very much detailed in Goloka Chart. And I will, maybe after this, I will quickly share that. Or maybe at the end. In Goloka Chart, on the right hand side, we can see there is a kind of tree on the top, Krishna, and then how everything filters down. So Lord Rama could be considered as Leela avatar. And Ved Vyas, sometimes there is an overlap also. Ved Vyas ji is also there. And the mainly Dash avatar we know, they all come like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narsimha. They all come and they do the Leela for a reason. And then they all comes from Aniruddha. Aniruddha is the source of them. And we can see the qualities feature. Yuga avatar, it mentions Ramaji is a Yuga avatar. Krishna himself comes as a Yuga avatar himself. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji is Yuga avatar. They also comes through Aniruddha. So this is what Brahman Purana says. So there are main 18 Puranas, and one of them, one is Brahman Purana. And that's where Krishna says, I have many forms, all of them full in 6 qualities or 6 opulence. We have seen this, I will mention that again, but none of them equal my form as a cowherd boy. So it says, Krishna says, when I come as a small boy in Goloka, then I supersede, because that's me, myself. But the 6 qualities, it says in Padma Puran that Parashar Muni mentions the definition of Bhagwan. So we all uses Bhagwan. Well, who is Bhagwan? Then the mention is there that these 6 qualities should be there in that person, and that person will get the that person. Sorry, I just saw the question, so I got diverted there. Okay, let's take. Okay, so just to finish the thought of chains where I left, 6 qualities. If someone has, that person is called Bhagwan, and only Krishna has those qualities. And there is a very, with Radhanath Swamiji Maharaj, there was an incident which happened based on this definition, which is very interesting. But we will see this. Before that, let's say take the question from Ajayji. Lord Vittal. Lord Vittal is actually Vishnu himself, Krishna himself. So they are not demigods. And Lord Venkateshwar. Venkateshwar is also Vishnu. They are not the demigod. Now what happens? They they could be Yuga. They could be considered as Yuga Avatar, but they could also be considered as Leela Avatar. They come to do Leela. It's like I'm the father at home. Sometimes so Shivani says, okay, daddy, become a horse. So I become a horse. She rides on me, right? And then sometimes I'm playing with her and she gives me the monkey and says, okay, this is a small monkey, you are a big monkey. Then I become a monkey. These are the leelas. So I'm doing the pastimes. Why I am doing it? Not because I need it, because my daughter needs it, and because I love her. Right? She will put me with her dolls, and then she will make me doll, so I will become a doll. Right? And this is what Krishna does it with us. And then when we want something like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, and then Surdas, there are so many of the devotees mentioned in the Shastra. For each one of them, when Krishna comes in a specific form, then that's a Leela Avatar. So Lord Vittal comes around for the devotee. Same thing, Venkateshwarji came around. So that was actually, so all the incarnations, or reincarnations rather than reincarnate, because reincarnations for us for Jiva, but incarnation for the Lord. So there's a difference. So when Lord comes out taking any new form, that's came out to do a Leela. And that's what we say, we discuss the pastimes. Why? Because we cherish. Devotees love hearing it. And that's why Krishna comes around helping. So we can understand that, because in one yuga, for example, Vittal, Venkateshwar, they all came in Kali Yuga only, when the Kali Yuga was there. So we cannot consider them as Yuga Avatar, but Krishna came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji came, they could be Yuga Avatar. Prashuramji was there, Lord Ramji was there when they were together as well. But again, I will share the list, and the list is actually there in Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Puran, it says 22 incarnation. Krishna says, I have many incarnation. I have come in many different forms, But forms, in a sense, I've come down, I've taken birth for you, for the devotees. Well, okay, I will give you, so Dash Avatar, the main prominent 10 avatars we know, but then 22, the mention of 22 there. There's a mention of 40 as well somewhere. But in Bhagavatam, 20 is there. But again, some are mentioned here, some are mentioned there. So devotees put together 40. But where, like as you said, Lord Vittal could be added, Venkateshwar could be added. But in 22 mentioned in Bhagavatam, they are also the prominent ones. We would have heard of them. Like in India, that was a norm. Okay. So Hari, thank you, Anil. So right. इन हिंदी हमने अभी तक जो किया, और हम यहीं पे समाप्त करेंगे क्योंकि 4 मिनट बचे हैं। लेकिन यहाँ पे हमने क्या कहा, भगवान कृष्ण से बलराम, बलराम से चारों निकले, फिर शंकरशन से कर्णोदक्षाय, प्रद्युम्न से गर्भोदक्षाय, अनिरुद्ध से क्षीरोदक्षाय, लेकिन फिर प्रद्युम्न से गुण अवतार भी निकले। गुण अवतार कौन है? हम ब्रह्मा जी, विष्णु, महेश, इन तीनों को गुण अवतार मानते हैं, क्योंकि ये गुणों को कंट्रोल करते हैं। ब्रह्मा जी को क्योंकि उत्पत्ति करनी थी, इस वजह से ब्रह्मा जी पैशन, जो हम कहते हैं सत्य रज तम, वो जो रजोगुण होता है उसको लेते हैं और उससे वो उत्पत्ति करते हैं। इसलिए ब्रह्मा जी को हम रजोगुण के अंदर मानते हैं। उत्पत्ति होने के बाद में वो मेडिटेशन में चले जाते हैं। उसके बाद में हम कहते हैं कि शिव जी हैं, जो शिव जी हैं वो तमोगुण को कंट्रोल करते हैं। कहीं पे भी अगर वर्ड आता है एनिहिलेशन, डिस्ट्रक्शन, कंप्लीटली जब डिस्ट्रॉय करना होता है, प्रलय आनी होती है, तब शिव जी उस जो रज सत्य तम में से जो तमोगुण है उसको यूज करते हैं शिव जी, और फिर डिस्ट्रक्शन लेकर आते हैं, प्रलय लेकर आते हैं। तो वो शिव जी को इसलिए हम उस गुण का अवतार मानते हैं। विष्णु भगवान को क्योंकि सब संभालना होता है, इसलिए विष्णु भगवान को हम सतगुण का मानते हैं, क्योंकि उसके अंदर आपको स्टेबल रहना होता है, स्थिर रहना होता है। तो इसलिए हम गुण अवतार मानते हैं। लीला अवतार हम मानते हैं कि जैसे जितने भी हमारे 10 अवतार होते हैं उन्हें हम लीला अवतारों में मानते हैं। तो जैसे हमारे मत्स्य, कूर्मा, वराह, नरसिंहदेव, ये जितने आए ये लीला करने आए। जैसे अजय जी ने मेंशन किया विठल हैं, वेंकटेश्वर जी हैं, ये अपने किसी एक पर्टिकुलर या ग्रुप ऑफ डिवोटीज के लिए कोई लीला करने के लिए आए भगवान के रूप में, तो उन्हें हम लीला अवतार मानते हैं। वो थोड़े टाइम के लिए आते हैं, लीला करते हैं और चले जाते हैं, अगर हम कोई भी ऐसा देखेंगे। तो युग अवतार होते हैं जो अलग अलग युग में आते हैं। जैसे भगवान राम एक युग में आए, भगवान कृष्ण एक युग में आए, अब चैतन्य महाप्रभु जी कलयुग में आए। कलयुग के अंदर हमारे कल की अवतार के बारे में भी वर्णन है। तो इस तरीके से हम समझते हैं इन सब का लीला अवतार, गुण अवतार के जो सोर्स हैं, अधिष्ठान, वो जो उनको उनकी जिनसे एक्सपेंशन होती है, उत्पत्ति होती है, वो अधिष्ठान हमारे अनिरुद्ध जी हैं। ऐसे ही गुणावतार के जो है वो प्रद्युम्न है। और ब्रह्मांड पुराण के अंदर जो 18 पुराणों में से एक है, वहां पे भगवान ये कहते हैं कि 6 क्वालिटीज जो मेरी हैं, वो 6 क्वालिटीज से भी ऊपर मुझे मानो अगर मैं एक गोलोक वृंदावन के अंदर में एक गोपाल के रूप के अंदर आया हूँ, तो वो सबसे ऊपर है। इसलिए जो गोपियां हैं वो गोपाल हैं, जो वृंदावन के, उनको सबसे बड़ा भक्त मानते हैं, क्योंकि वो भक्ति भाव में होते हैं। उन्हें भगवान कृष्ण की भक्ति करनी होती है, कुछ चाहिए नहीं होता। अगर कुछ चाहिए होता है तो हम उसे मिश्रित भक्ति कहते हैं। अगर कोई भक्ति कर रहा है ज्ञान के लिए, if somebody is doing some bhakti devotion for a ज्ञान, for knowledge, then it's considered as mishrit, mix of jnana and bhakti. But when bhakti is doing something for the Lord, like Meera Bhai ji was singing the songs for Krishna, she didn't need anything. Like Surdas ji, Parikshit Maharaj, they nothing in return they expect back. तो भगवान के जो भक्त होते हैं वो सिर्फ उनकी पूजा करते हैं, उनके लिए ग्रेटिट्यूड शो कर सकते हैं, धन्यवाद कर सकते हैं उनका, लेकिन कभी उनसे कुछ मांगते नहीं है। हाँ, कृष्णा ये जरूर कहते हैं भगवत गीता में कि मेरे भक्त को मैं सब कुछ दूंगा, और देते भी हैं, इसमें भी कोई डाउट नहीं है। पर मांगना नहीं होता, सिर्फ आपको स्नेह जाहिर करना होता है। So this is how we understand the devotees, and again the relationship between parents and the children. If the children will start asking, the parent will get annoyed at some point. But if children will just do what the parents are saying, then parents will go out of their scope to do things for the children. Without asking, they will give everything. So this is how we can understand. And this is a good point. We shall rest here and continue from here itself, and we will get into the detail of each one of them. Each one of them. So for example, if I show you the next one, we will try to understand. And I will change the font here. We will see the Vasudev and similarly Sankarshan. Each one of them, what do they do? The roles and responsibility, qualities and features. And this is all based on the scriptures. So any questions on anything we have discussed?
Prabhuji,
Yes, please.
One of Krishna's sons is called Aniruddha as well, isn't it? But there's nothing to do with this.
No, that's just the name. No. That's just the name. It's in India, there was a time when all the names used to be on the name of the Lord. Like my name is Varun. So that's based on the demigod, Varun Dev. So that's why my parents have given this. But yes, So that Anirudh and this Anirudh, and again Pradyumna also there. So those are just the names, but nothing to do with here. These are the personalities from where expansion happens.
And my last question, Prabhuji, can you explain that he's got 6 qualities, but none of them equal my form as a cowherd?
Yes. What it basically says that it says equal to my form, and that's where the importance is. So what it's rather very poetic, the way it says. So Krishna is saying that you can have all the 6 qualities I have. So Krishna is saying you can have all the 6 qualities have. Now, what are the 6 qualities? 6 qualities are full of power, complete beauty, knowledge, renunciation, fame, and wealth. These are the 6 qualities. Anyone who has it will be a Bhagwan, and nobody has this except Krishna. So this is what Parashar Muni gave in Padma Puran. So what Krishna is basically saying in this one sentence, that anyone can combine all these things together, all the power, all the beauty, all the knowledge, all the renunciation, fame, and wealth, but that won't be equal to my form of that cowherd boy, because that cowherd boy is dearer to my devotees. So this is the mood of devotion expressed, that the devotees, they don't pray to Krishna because Krishna is powerful, Krishna is beautiful, Krishna is knowledgeable. No, just because devotees like that form of cowherd boy. So it's the mood of the devotion which has been expressed in a very poetic way.
True.
Hare Bol.
Hare Bol. Thank you
so much for that question, Mataji. So we shall we conclude here and look forward to see you next Saturday, 9:30 in the morning, and we will continue from here the discussion on Goloka Chart.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.